All right, I am now ready to proceed with position 10. Counsel, are you there and are the parties ready to go
Yes,
forward?
yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right,
Yes,
and I think I previously had Mr. Craig's video turned off. Can we turn that back on? I know sometimes if the co-host turns it off, then the party, okay, it's back on. All right, and I'm missing no one. Okay, all right. This is position, and I'm getting some feedback. So if we can get, with the exception of Attorney Trumbull, if the others of you can mute your devices for right now. Let me just see. Okay. All right. This is position 10, case number 22 FM 10511. This is a final divorce hearing as to Garfield Craig versus Wendy Roy. The petitioner, Mr. Craig, is pro se, and Ms. Roy is represented by Shamir Chisholm Trimble. Let me make sure, first of all, if I could have the parties unmute and confirm that you are in agreement with proceeding with this hearing via Zoom. Is that correct, Mr. Craig? Are you?
Ye-
I didn't
Yes,
hear
Your
you.
Honor.
All right, and to the respondent,
yes,
Attorney
Your
Trump.
Honor.
All right, let me have your counsel answer since you are represented by
I'm sorry.
counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right. All right. So, Mr. Craig, you are pro se, which means you are not represented by counsel. Do you want to tell me, this is at the point where I would typically ask for an opening statement? So I'm going to ask you at this time to tell the court what you are seeking in this divorce and the reason for the reason why you filed this petition for divorce. I will note that you all indicated at calendar call that this hearing should not take more than an hour. But let me hear from you, Mr. Craig.
My papers speak for me, Your Honor.
All right, but this is the formal hearing. So are you waiving your right to an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Craig, if I can get you to speak up just a little louder, just so I can make sure that we have great volume, and give me one moment before I go to counsel. Let me just make sure that I have all of the documents pulled up. Give me one moment, please. Give me one moment, I'm just reviewing the complaint. All right, I will hear from counsel. Do you wish to make an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, go
Thank
ahead.
you. I'm here, as the court has indicated, representing Ms. Roy in this matter.
And actually, that noise, Attorney Trumbull, that is coming from your device. I can hear you. It sounds almost like a vacuum cleaner or a fan or something is going behind you. I'm not sure,
I
but
wonder if this is better.
it's just some background noise. I can hear you. It's just some background static, but go ahead.
Okay, I do apologize, Your Honor.
But I
I've
actually heard you better when you were closer to the device.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll come.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. So I do represent Ms. Roy in this matter. We suspect that the evidence will be presented that the parties have been married since about 2012. There is one marital residence that the parties did acquire during the marriage. Our position, Your Honor, is that the evidence will support that my client used her retirement, which was acquired prior to the marriage, to secure that property. While that property is paid in full, we understand that there has been an increase, and evidence will show that there's been an increase in value. My client's request to the court would be that she be reimbursed the portion of her retirement that was acquired prior to the marriage, to the tune of $70,000, and the remaining equity be divided equally between the parties. There are 4 vehicles that we will discuss on today. Your Honor, we're asking the court to allow the parties to retain the vehicles in their possession. That to that point, my client would retain the Porsche Macan, and she would retain the Tesla. Mr. Craig would, in fact, retain the Envoy that he has, as well as the BMW. Your Honor, we believe that the parties should maintain any financial accounts currently in their name. We contend that
Can
both
you
parties.
repeat that? Can you repeat that? I'm still
Um,
here.
our,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Our position is that the parties would maintain any financial accounts currently titled in their name. We do believe there has been some debt acquired during the marriage. My client will be responsible for the tax liability, as well as some of the other debts that's titled in her name. But we ask that any credit card or any personal loans, that the parties will be individually responsible for those. We believe that the party should be responsible for their own attorney's fees, and that there will be no award of spousal support in light of the conduct of the parties during the marriage and currently. We believe that both parties are capable of working and earning, and currently my client is experiencing medical hardship and unable to work at this time, Your Honor. We believe that's what the evidence will show, and we ask that the court would effect an order to the same.
And did you say, and I'm sorry, for some reason I'm having difficulty hearing you. Did you say that your client is experiencing a medical hardship?
Yes, Your Honor. She's currently out on medical leave. She is a traveling nurse. We believe the evidence will support that throughout the marriage she was able to do that. However, she has been overcome with a medical injury. She's in the process of having surgery and has been out of work. So right now, she is living off of whatever savings that she did have. We're not asking for any spousal support, but Mr. Craig is currently in the military, the armed forces, and is certified in multiple areas and capable of earning and supporting himself after today. I would like to add that the parties are currently both living in the marital residence, and we're asking that the court order that that property be listed for sale and that the proceeds be divided thereafter.
All right, so both parties are currently residing together in the marital residence.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. All right, so I have now heard Mr. Craig waived opening statement. I've heard opening statements. I will now hear any evidence that you wish to present at this time, Mr. Craig. So I will swear you in. If you'll raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give today is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
All right, and if you'll state your name, please.
Garfield Craig.
All right, and Mr. Craig, I need you to speak up a little louder. You can put your hand down. You can put your hand down. All right, and
Garfield
Mr.
Craig.
Craig, I didn't hear you.
Garfield Craig.
All right, and Mr. Craig, you are not represented by counsel, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right, and is there any evidence that you wish to present in today's hearing?
My papers speak for me, Your Honor. I submitted everything already.
All right, well, you did submit your pleadings, but this is the actual hearing, Mr. Craig. So I will ask again if there's anything that you wish to present beyond the pleadings by way of evidence today.
I was under the assumption that this hearing today was to state when the case was going to happen.
Nope, this is the final divorce hearing, Mr. Craig. All right, so once again, if you have no evidence to present, I will then move over into hearing the evidence on behalf of the respondent. All right, Mr. Craig, last time, any evidence?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, Attorney Trumbull, you can put up your case.
All right, I would call Mr. Craig as our first witness, Your Honor.
All right, so she is calling you as a witness, as her first witness, Mr. Craig, so you'll need to unmute your device. Mr. Craig, you'll need to unmute.
It's unmuted.
All right, and you are still under oath as I have just sworn you in. All right, go ahead, Attorney Trumbull.
Mr. Craig, where are you currently employed?
Where am I currently employed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The U.S. military.
And Mr. Craig, how long have you been in the U.S. military?
For about 16 years now.
Okay. Mr. Craig, and as a service member, have you acquired a military pension?
Yes.
Are you asking the court to allow you to retain your military pension?
I submitted papers already.
Okay. Mr. Craig, did you have an opportunity to, or
Well,
Hello?
do you,
I'm
Okay,
sorry,
I
Attorney
turned
Trump.
the phone off to stop it.
Mr. Craig, Mr. Craig, I'm gonna need you to turn your video on and put the phone away. This is an actual court hearing. Mr. Craig, Mr. Garfield Craig, you are a witness in this case. Mr. Craig? Mr. Craig, I'm going to ask again, if you do not want me to make a ruling
Your Honor, we would
contradictory
ask that the
to,
court,
I
Your
didn't hear
Honor,
you, Attorney Trimble.
I said we would ask that the court make a ruling in our favor consistent with the behavior of Mr. Craig. Obviously, we're not certain who he's speaking with and what information, but I think he's logged off.
So yeah, so he's logged off. So Ms. Snyder, if you can let me know, we'll wait about 2 minutes just in case he accidentally was knocked off or disconnected. We'll give him about 2 minutes. I guess Miss Roy, are you at home? Are you,
Yes.
so you are, what, is he at home right now?
Yes, he's in the basement.
All right, so we'll give it about another minute, minute and a half to see if he logs back on. I'm gonna give him one more moment. Give him to 10:35. Well, 10, a little past 10:35 since it turned to 10:35 right when I said that. All right, he has not logged back on. He was present. He did indicate that he was agreeing to proceed with this hearing via Zoom. He received a phone call during the hearing. Was not responsive when the court asked him to turn back on his video and proceed with this Zoom hearing. I will also note that Mr. Craig declined to present any evidence in his own behalf. And again, he did abruptly leave the Zoom hearing while on the proverbial stand being cross-examined by Attorney Trimble. For that reason, I will enter a judgment on behalf of the respondent. I will grant the divorce. I will deny the petitioner's request for alimony. I will, in terms of the property, now let me say this, in terms of the property, I am going to, with one adjustment, I will grant the requests of the respondent, namely that the parties maintain the accounts in their names, also that the motor vehicles that the respondent retains the Porsche and Tesla, whereas the petitioner retains the BMW and the GMC Envoy. I will also note that the respondent will be responsible for the tax liability. Each party is responsible for maintaining their own credit card debt. With respect to the house, in terms of, so give me some more clarity. So I heard the what you stated in the opening Attorney Trumbull, is that well, now he's coming back in. We will, all right, so I'm admitting him back in. Let me let his audio connect. Mr. Craig? Mr. Craig? Mr. Craig, can you hear me? Mr. Craig? We cannot hear you, Mr. Craig. All right, so as I was saying, Attorney Trumbull, where I do have a question is about the house. So I am going to order that the house, okay, Mr. Craig, can you hear me? You're muted. I need you to unmute. Can you hear me?
Hello? Yes,
Mr. Craig, what happened to you and why did you answer a phone call while you were testifying in this hearing?
this is going in and out. Could you repeat that, please?
I said, why did you answer a phone call while you were testifying during this hearing?
It was from. I'm sorry, Your Honor, I shouldn't have. My phone turned off, and it restarted.
So are you saying that you were on this Zoom via your phone?
Yes, that's what I'm on, Your Honor.
Well, that couldn't be possible because we saw you hold a phone in your hand. So you were
Yes,
on
that was
two.
another. That was another one, Your Honor.
All right. So, Mr. Craig, I don't have time for games. You knew you were testifying, and I kept asking you to return to the Zoom and to turn your video on, and you failed to do so.
No,
So,
Your Honor. The phone restarted, Your Honor.
what phone restarted?
The phone that I'm on now, Your Honor.
Is that the same
My cell
device
phone.
you were on earlier?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So, Attorney Trimble, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that his device went out since he is now returned. So I will let you resume your cross-examination of him. Mr. Craig, there cannot be any more interruptions.
Your Honor, one question. I'd like to ask, what jurisdiction are we under?
I don't understand the question.
Are we at law?
Are we what?
Are we at law or equity?
So who are you talking to, Mr. Craig? There obviously is someone with, so Mr. Craig, I'm going to proceed as I was initially because you appear to be playing games. So, because you left, you answered a phone call during this hearing and departed, and now you're coming back and I'm not clear what is going on, but we do not have time for games. So I am going to grant the divorce. You yourself have petitioned the court for this divorce. I am going to deny your request for alimony at this time. I am going to divide the properties based on, I am making a judgment in favor of Mrs. Roy, given that you departed from the hearing abruptly. I am going to award her the Porsche and the Tesla, and you will retain the BMW and GMC Envoy. Each party will be responsible for the credit card debt, as well as the parties will maintain all accounts in their names. Mrs. Roy will be responsible for the tax liability. Now, the question that I have in terms of the marital home, I will order that the marital home be sold and the equity divided. Now, the question that I have that I'm not clear on, and I would like to hear a little more is about this $70,000 that you were saying was used, Attorney Trimble, to purchase the home. So I need to know how much was the home purchased for, and what funds in total were used for any down payment. So do you, if you
Yes,
can,
Your Honor. So the house, yes, Your Honor, the house was purchased. Can you hear me? Your Honor, the house was purchased for, can you,
I can hear
can you
you.
hear me, Judge?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The house was purchased for $54,000 with the associated closing costs. The house was actually paid in full from, again, the resources that were required or retirement that were required by my client before the marriage. So there was about $70,000 total with the actual cost of the home and the closing costs that were associated. And that was paid by my client. The house now has a value of about $281,000 according to Zillow. My client is simply asking that the $70,000, since Mr. Craig is being allowed to retain his pension, that she be allowed to be refunded the amount that went into the home that was taken from her retirement, and that they would share the difference, which would probably be about $210,000 divided by the parties.
So, given that they purchased the home, I mean, they were, and what year was the home purchased?
The house was purchased, Your Honor, in 2020, I think it was. But the retirement account was already established before they got married.
So, given that the home was purchased, I mean, basically 8 years into the marriage. So you're saying this was just purchased in 2020, and now you're saying that in equity, it has gained equity of almost $230,000 in a matter of 3 years. And
Yes, Your
so,
Honor. And I
uh,
can share my screen and show the court that
all right.
information is public record if the court would.
Oh, I'm not doubting that part of it. My only question is about the allowing her to retain an extra $70,000 in equity. I'm not inclined to grant that. So the court's order would be that the house be sold and that they split the equity in half. All right. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Attorney Trumbull, and also each party will be responsible for their own attorney's fees. All right. All right. Anything additional from you, Mr. Craig? All right. Mr. Craig is not unmuting, and I guess is indicating that there's nothing additional from him. Anything additional?
Nothing additional, Your Honor.
All right. All right. So that will be the court's order, and Attorney Trumbull, if you can submit the proposed order to Attorney Carr.
Okay, I will do that.
And if you can do so within
Is
48
Ms. Carr's
hours, please.
information? Oh,
She had sent
I
it
will do so, Your
earlier.
Honor.
Do you see it? She had sent the chat to
I see it.
everyone. Okay.
I see it, Your Honor. I got it. Thank you so much.
All right. All right. Thank you all so much. And the parties are excused at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor.